All right, so today's class is very simple. It's it's 2020. Now what? Right? So a lot of people I think get very inundated at the end of the year with trying to figure out what the next year is to bring them, right? And I always have this ongoing thing that I tell people, I go, you guys do realize that January 1st, 2020 is just another day on the calendar, right? You don't have to change your entire world and all your systems just because there's a new year that you have to write down when you sign your name on a calendar or something, you know? So what I'm trying to tell you is if we're going to look at 2020 as like, now what? Now what do I do? I want to give you some of the basics and true understanding, some of the things that you need to know, no matter what point of the year it is, right? Like the name of this class can be, it's January, now what? Or it's June, now what, right? Like I'm running a business, I have a personal life, now what, right? And that could be, we're just theming it 2020 because I really feel that a lot of people, a lot of agents, a lot of business folks, a lot of entrepreneurs get very self inundated with so much information and so much stuff that they don't really pay attention to what's important, right? And they don't pay attention to what's important because simply they are too focused on what am I going to change? How am I going to get better? What's going to change in my business? You know, um, this is when I'm going to like it's so much stuff. And the truth is that you just need to do a comparable, right? So like we go on a listing agreement or a listing appointment. What's the first thing that we do? We sit in front of a computer and we run comparables on what has sold in the last 90 days in that neighborhood. So that when we go sit with this potential seller, we tell them this is what is sold in the last 90 days. This is the value of your house. But very rarely does somebody sit down and look at their business and go, what has happened in the last 90 days in my business, right? And what has worked for me? And what's the value of my business today? So that's kind of where the theme of what we're going to talk about is surrounding. All right. So, one of the first things we get right into, in order to move forward, you must study the past. Like, in order to move forward, you must truly study your past. To everyone out there that says, the past is the past, you can't live in the past. You look, you're right and you're wrong because from the past is where you learn your lessons. People don't grow older and wiser by forgetting what happened in the past, right? So, in order for your business and your personal life to get better day after day, and then for the theme of this particular session, year over year, right? You have to be able to study the past. So, if we're going to focus on it's 2020, now what? Then you need to see where you were at the start of 2019. More importantly, you need to understand what habits you put into place in 2019, good and bad. Look, I'll be very honest with you. I love working out. I love going to the gym. I love being healthy and in shape. And in 2019, I let a lot of that go. I created some very bad habits that didn't have me in the gym on a daily basis, 5 to 7 days a week, like I was in 2018, 17, and 16, right? So like that's just me. I'm telling you one of my bad habits. I need to understand that in order to create a good habit from the bad habits that I've put into place, right? Also, what good habits have you put into place? What has helped you grow? What has helped you get to the next level? Like how are you growing, right? And these are very important things to do and understand, right? So um, next thing is what things did you do to make your business more sustainable, repeatable, and scalable? These are very important words that I'll be honest with you, most people truly don't understand. If I go on vacation for 30 days, is my business going to still be the business it was when I left? The answer for most of you is no. The answer is no because you have not put systems into place to allow your business to become sustainable, where it consistently creates business for itself. Repeatable. Let's talk about this for a minute. If I took your business right now and I took all your systems and everything that you do and I implemented it into someone else in Atlanta, Georgia, will that business be successful? And these are things that you need to ask yourself whether or not you intend to grow and build expansion teams. Like now, I'm working very closely in building an expansion team in Northern Virginia. I am repeating what we do in Miami over there because I know that the business is repeatable. Even if you have zero interest in creating expansion teams, even if you have zero interest in growing past your sphere, the question is, can you? And if you can, you're in good shape. If you cannot, there are some things and systems that we're going to be discussing today that you're going to have to put in place. And then, is your business scalable? If I came to you tomorrow and I said, I have 10 new buyers and sellers for you, and I'm just going to give them to you. And by the way, you need to take very good care of them because I gave them to you and I'm going to get a 25% referral from you, right? Can you handle those folks? Can you? If 10 of your past clients called you today and all gave you a referral, can you truly provide, honest to God, great business strategy in place and provide them great customer service? Can you care about them the way that you want to? Will you have the time and is your business scalable? Can you grow it? Can it be bigger? Can you take it to the next level? Do you have the right tools in place, right? I'm going to be drinking hot coffee as we go through this. As you can see, my voice has not gotten any better. All right. How much time actually went into true business and life producing activities? Now, I'm going to give you guys a great little exercise to do, something that I've done with my team in the past, something that we repeat on a yearly basis, something that I've recommended in all my coaching at all times. Go to the store, 99-cent store, CVS, Walgreens, Publix, whatever it is. Go to the store, and what I want you to do is I want you to buy one of those black and white notebooks. Take the black and white notebook, and I want you to create a timeline for yourself. And I want you to do this for, usually I tell people a month. Most people can't get past a couple of days. So I'm going to tell you 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I want you to write down every single thing that you do and what time you started doing it. So for instance, if I wake up in the morning, my alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning, I'm going to write in my notebook, 5:30, rolled out of bed, right? Um, 5:45, finished morning activities, meaning brush my teeth, whatever it was. Uh, 5:50, left for the gym. 6 a.m., got to the gym. 7 a.m., left the gym. And so the reason for this is if you get super, like, went to the bathroom, like really, and I'm actually pretty strict about that when I run it with my team, because a lot of people go to the bathroom and they waste a lot of time in there. They get right on their phones, they start checking everything except for doing what they're supposed to be doing in the bathroom, right? So how much of your time are you actually putting into true business and life producing activities? Now, notice I put business and life producing activities because the truth is that you have to have a life too, right? And how are you truly building quality of life for yourself and your family? So, what I want you to do is this great activity. You're not going to be able to look at 2019 and go, man, I wasted a lot of time here or I wasted a lot of time there. But chances are for the next 2 weeks, you have very similar habits than to what you had last year, right? So if that's the case, I got a chat in there. Sorry, I can't see it right now. Let's see a chat. You're breaking up during your speaking. Okay, I'm trying to get this better, guys. Give me a second. All right, we're gonna move to another side of the office and make sure that we're as close to the Wi-Fi as possible so that this doesn't happen. All right, so um, how much time actually went into the true business activities? This is something that you need to learn and earn for yourself, okay? This is something that you need to put in place for yourself to truly understand what's going on, all right, in your business. So do it for 2 weeks. Really, really, really line yourself out, live your life as you've been living it every single day, right? And then at the end of the 2 weeks, sit down and look at where you've spent all your time, and then highlight everything that was an absolute waste of time, right? And that's going to help you understand how much time actually went into true business and life producing activities. There's so many folks that have opportunity that they say things like, um, oh, I cold call, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like I'm on the phone for 4 hours straight. But if you were to truly sit back and watch them, most people, I'm going to venture to say 99.2% of people, do not actually spend the 2 or 3 or 4 hours really on the phone producing cold calling activities. They go to the bathroom a lot, they go drink water, they shoot the shit with somebody in the office, they're messing around, right? So you're not really putting in the true business work, okay? Life activities. Like, look, guys, I'm the worst at this, and I'm going to share it with you. If you're out to dinner with your family and you've got this like hour and a half from, let's say, 7:30 to 9 p.m., you get your kids and your spouse in front of you, and you're spending the entire hour and a half working, you're messing with your life producing activities. So you'll put that out there, right? Because trust me when I tell you that there is nothing in the world that you can't handle at 9:05. All right? Just the thought process. Now, at the end of 2019, did you do better, the same, or worse than 2018? Because you studied where you were in the beginning, you figured out the habits that you put into place, you figured out if your business was sustainable, repeatable, and scalable. And at the end of 2019, did you find yourself in a better position than you were in 2018? Was it the same or was it worse? And can you study on why the answer is what it is? What made it better? Why is it the same? What made it worse? And listen, guys, this could be like life traumatizing activity that happened in your life. Someone died, house burned down. There's so many things that can make it worse. As long as you truly understand what's happening, you're going to be in good shape. Now, creating edits for your life and business for 2020. Having calculated 2019, what things do you feel that you need to change, add, or take away in order to make 2020 a more successful year, right? This is a very great question. It also takes it takes time for you to sit down and really use that black and white notebook that I told you to buy and write a ton of notes and figure, like, truly, guys, figure this out because this is key. Okay. What did I do in 20? Like, man, I spent X amount of dollars on something in 2019. My return on investment was zero. I probably shouldn't do that again. So that's a takeaway, right? Or, I spent X amount of dollars on this lead system in 2019 and I closed 8 deals out of it. I think I might double down on that one. That's an ad, right? Or a change, So there are things that happened in 2019 that were good, bad, ugly, whatever it was. Now you need to really sit down and look at it and go, in 2020, what am I going to change, add, or take away to make this a significantly more successful year? Now, some of the things that you need to understand is, what does your life cost and what are you worth? Now, listen, I'm recording this video. It's live on Facebook right now. I want you guys to really, really come back and watch this entire thing again because we're going to go through this like ham. We're going through it quick. Okay. So I want you to have a true understanding of what your life costs. Like, what does your lifestyle cost? Have that real understanding because you need to know how much work you got to put in to cover your life costs. And then, what are you worth? See, this is a very important question, right? Because I've asked people this question, most people don't know. And the value is very simple. You have to understand how much you sell a year, how much income you make a year, how many hours you actually put in on work, and what your hourly rate is. If your hourly rate is $300 an hour, should you be doing administrative work for you and your team? Probably not. Something you really need to think about and implement into your business, right? So we talk about what your life costs. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this. What is your housing cost? What is your entertainment cost? What does your spouse cost, right? What do your kids cost you? Are they in college? Are they like my kids in cheer and dance and everything else under the sun? Um, I have two older kids. I have to think about holidays and their birthdays because they've become a lot more expensive as they grow older, right? And so these are some of the things that you have to put in place. Like, are you a TV watcher, right? Do you pay for cable? Are you paying for internet? What does your car cost? Like all of these things. And I think it's extremely important for each one of you to put a life budget into place. Now, here's the crazy part. You put a life budget into place, but you also have to put a business budget into place because business is a part of your life. So what does your business cost you? How much does it cost you to be a member of the association? How much does it cost you to be a member of the brokerage you're a part of? You know, how much does it cost you to lead generate? How much is your CRM? How much is whatever other platform you're using? How much do you spend on marketing? Where are your signs made and how much do they cost you? Is it time to maybe sit down and start evaluating if you can get a better price? These are all the things that you need to know because this is going to be your full life budget, life and business all together. This is going to be your full life budget. And then once you've done the math on this, right? Because your business is math. Once you've done the complete math on this, we can estimate and generate and create what you need to earn with a true understanding of what you are worth. All right? I hope you guys are tracking me here. So let's go through this. Let's calculate for 2020. I want you to do this in your black and white notebook that I asked you to buy, right? 99 cents, guys. These things are 99 cents. And use a pencil. Take all your debts and calculate your monthly and annual expenses. This is personal, home, business, team, etc. Whatever it is that you got going on. Take all your debts currently and calculate your monthly and annual expenses. This is very important, right? And look, a lot of people are listening to this right now and they're like, come on, Dave, I thought you were going to give us the biggest tips and tricks to make our businesses better for 2020. Yeah, man, this is it. This is business, okay? Treat your business like a business. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but personal, home, business, team, etc., whatever your debts are, calculate them all, write them all down, be very specific, and figure out your monthly and annual expenses. Now, figure out debt reduction and what you want to pay off. So what is debt reduction? Well, if you have a credit card, let's say you got $10,000 on a credit card, your monthly payment is $250 a month. Where you're going to figure out, okay, my debt, my monthly payment is $250 a month. And in annual expenses, it's X amount of dollars a year, right? Whatever that is, $3,000, right? But if you want to pay that debt down, you can't keep paying the monthly payment, right? So you will say, all right, this year I want to take it from 10K to 5K, right? So figure out your debt reduction because that's another $5,000 that you have to figure out, which is almost like extra debt, but it's debt reduction because you're going to need to earn that income to pay that down. What about taxes? Are you planning for your taxes? Or are you like most folks out there that are going through the year and all of a sudden you mess around and have a really good year and now you owe Uncle Sam tens of thousands of dollars, right? So plan for your taxes. And then what tax savings plans do you have in place? Have you thought about this? IRA, retirement funds, things of that nature. These are plans that you can take every time you earn a commission, put money into it, and then they're tax savings plans because they become non-taxable income. Next, what's your exit plan? And so I lead from this to the part of where we just left off. IRAs and retirement funds and everything else. Most real estate professionals do not have an exit plan. They don't. And so the problem with that is that you'll be selling real estate forever. And as much as I love selling real estate and being in the real estate industry, I also love my life. And I don't want to be 95 years old trying to show houses. I hate to say it like that, guys. But if you don't come up with a plan, if you don't have an exit plan, a financial exit plan, you're in a world of hurt. And these plans need to be in financial and monetary value. And we're going to have a whole different class next month on exit plans and finances. Okay. Now, let's talk about your actuals versus goals, 2019 versus 2020, right? Actuals versus goals, right? So we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about what actually happened in 2019 and what your goals are for 2020. Now, once you've labeled out all your income and finances and everything else, we have a true understanding of how much you need to earn. So now we're going to figure out actuals and we're going to figure out your goals for 2020. Do you want to step up your game? Are you happy where you are? Like, listen, being happy where you are is not a horrible thing. There are some folks out there that are very, very happy exactly where they are. They're happy with the growth that they have. They're happy being the same year over year because for them, that is sufficient enough to live the life that they deserve and want to live. For some of us, it's how can I grow by 50, 30 to 50%? How can I grow by 100%? Like some people just want to get insane with it, right? So some of the things we need to calculate is where your business came from, right? The source. So this is a very important thing to think about. In 2019, where did you get your business from? Now, here's the crazy part, and here's what I expect from each of you. I expect each of you to get your little black and white notebook, and I want you to write down every single closing you had in 2019, every one of them. Now, for some of you, it's not a big mission because you have 5 or 6, and you're trying to aim for 10 or 12. For some of you, this is 30 or 40. If you don't know what your sources are, you got to do this assignment as well, okay? So get in there and figure out where your business came from. What was the source of your business? Was it Zillow? Was it Realtor? Was it referral? Was it at an open house, social media, networking? Where did you get business from, right? And I want you to calculate for every closing. I want you to write it down in your book. You know, John Smith, 123 Main Street, Zillow lead. Joanne Forrest, 187 Block Street, referral from John Smith. You know what I mean? And so I want you to really understand what percentage of your business come from where. See, when we talk about expenditure, when we talk about spending money on our businesses, we have to know what direction the spending should go. And this is one of the best ways to figure it out. Now, once you've got this figured out, the next numbers, the next real numbers that I need you to figure out is all those deals that you did. Let's go buyer side versus sales side. I want you to put a little B next to buyers and a little S next to sellers. And then I want you to figure out all the buyers on one side, all the sellers on the other side. What was the average price point for each side? Because a lot of times it's not the same. You'd be very surprised, right? Sometimes your sales side average price point could be, just using numbers, 700K. And then you find out that your buyer side is like 375, right? And so I want you to have a real true understanding of where you have a higher average sales price. But then let's get even more important on this. What's the average commission percentage for each side, right? Like, are you a strict listing agent at 6% and you're earning that 3% every single time on the seller side, but you have no control over the buyer side, so you're getting a 2% here, 2.5% there, a 3% there. So what's your average commission percentage for each side? So ultimately, you want to know at the end of the day how many conversations you had in 2019. They say that the average person needs to have about 50 solid real estate conversations to get one deal, okay? And so we're figuring this out right now. We're figuring out all the math, how many buyers I had, how many sellers I had, what the average sales price on the buyer side was, what the average sale price on the seller side was, what the average commission was, or percentage was on the seller side, what the average commission percentage was on the buyer side. And then where did all these leads come from? Zillow, Realtor, referral, open house, social media, networking, right? And so by taking this, ultimately, we want to know how many conversations we need to have. Now, I put this in here because What you'll notice is this is going to be a daunting task for a lot of you. But had you been keeping track of it for all of 2019, this would be a very easy Excel spreadsheet to pull up and say, Dave, I'm ready to go. I got it right here. In order to successfully run a business, you must track your numbers at all times. You must know what your ROI is on everything you do and invest in. What is ROI? Return on investment. That means if I put money into Zillow, let's say I'm putting 10 grand a month into Zillow, how much commission am I earning for Zillow every month? And what is my return on investment? So let's say if I got, if I put 10 grand in and every month I make 30 grand, well, therefore I have a return on investment of an extra $20,000. Figure out the percentage on that and you'll understand what ROI means. This you need to know, right? Now listen, ROI comes in a couple different sides, right? There's business ROI and there's life ROI, right? Like for instance, if you spend a significant amount of time with your spouse and you show them true love, chances are your return on investment will be a long-term marriage, right? So, there's two sides to this, okay? Now, you have to begin with putting a system in place to do this. There are amazing CRMs out there that do this, right? That track everything for you as long as you update the information as you go along, which by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is not that hard to do. I have a closing, I update my spreadsheet, right? But if you don't want to spend money on a system, go to Google Sheets, which is very much like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's in the cloud. So you can update it from anywhere, from your phone, from a computer, from South Africa to Northern Europe to the West Coast or East Coast of America. That you can update your Google Sheet. Okay, in Google Sheets, you want to have in there all the information that we've been tracking so far. All this stuff that we're talking about, we want all that information in there. This is free, but it's a system. People usually think of systems as paid for tools that I need to use in order to systemize my business. A Google Sheet is a system. An Excel spreadsheet is a system, right? Now you got to have your goals. So what is my goal for income after taxes, take home, and for real use? This for me is important because a lot of people say, I want to GCI $1 million. Well, okay, cool. That means that you GCI'd $1 million. If you're with EXP, you paid out $16,000 in commission. So you've got whatever, 990 something thousand dollars left or whatever, or 80 something thousand dollars left. How much of that goes to taxes, right? Okay, so let's say it's 30%, 40%, 50. I don't know what your tax bracket is, right? That goes to taxes. How much is left? Is that sufficient for you? So we need to stop thinking in the idea of when it comes to income and GCI, and we need to start thinking about personal income goal after taxes, take home, and for real use, right? Now, once you've figured out your percentage of commission per source inside, once we have this labeled out, you figure out the required sales volume, the sales volume required to meet this goal of income of that percentage. So what am I telling you right now, right? So I now know that in 2019, X amount of people were buyers, X amount of people were sellers, X amount of sellers average this price, X amount of sellers average that price. This is how much I made percentage-wise on that side. This is how I made percentage-wise on this side. Once I have this labeled out, right, I can now figure out my goals for 2020 by seeing what I need to go ham on, right? Like for lack of better words, what do I need to give more attention to? What do I need to push harder? What am I gonna, and this leads to forecasting how many units I need to move and what sources it will come from. Because if I know how much I wanna earn, then I know how much commission I need to make. If I know how much commission I need to make, then by looking at my history, I can see what sources and which sides are giving me the most money. And I can figure out the required sales volume to meet my goal of income based on those percentages. Sounds like hard to do. It really isn't. Now you can forecast how many units you need to move in 2020 and what sources they will come from. For instance, if referrals and Zillow.com were your biggest sources of income, dude, that's what you need to focus on for 2020 and forecast how many more units you expect to move from each one of those. All right. And this is not take all of the sources and just get, I'm going to do two from here, two from here. Two. No, man, calculate this appropriately based on the percentage of money you made from each source. This is going to calculate on how many conversations you need to have in 2020. Remember what I told you? 50 conversations turns into one deal, right? 50 conversations turns into one deal. It's kind of like a universal thing. You can hear any coach say that for the most part, right? But how many conversations you need to have in 2020 will determine how many deals you close. Now, the better you get at conversations about real estate and getting people to work with you, right? The better you become at lowering that percentage. What do I mean? Right now, the average person, 50 conversations, one sale. But with practice and role playing and effort and consistency, you can get that down to like 18 to 22. Think about that for a moment. Doubling up your business every 50 conversations, right? So the reason we want to know how many conversations we need to have in 2020 is because we need to begin to schedule that out, right? I need to know how many leads I'm going to get from this platform, how many leads I'm going to get from that platform. I'm going to make sure to have a conversation with each one of those. But I'm not going to forget my past clients, my sphere of influence, or any of those. I'm going to make sure that I'm having conversations. And does it mean that I need to have, if I want to sell one house a week, 50 conversations a week? Yes. Does it mean that there need to be 50 new conversations all year long? No, because there's a big part in follow-up, right? They're previous clients, they're everything else, right? So now take your transactional goal and multiply it by 50 so we understand how many conversations you need to have, right? Now, divide them, right? I need to have 50 conversations a week, one a week. This is how many I have a year, right? It's 200 conversations a month. 200 times 12 is 2,400 conversations a year. Now I'm going to divide that by my past and future people. See, and that's what we were talking about. I'm going to have conversations from this platform, that platform, but I'm also going to have conversations with my friends, my family, my sphere of influence, my power circle, my power 8, which if you've trained with me, you know what that means. And if you don't, stay tuned because we'll keep talking about that one day, right? And then, sorry, I'm getting a message. It's very hard for me to read messages. I'll check it in a minute, okay? And then understanding the truth behind, behind getting your past people to be your biggest cheerleaders and also helping them to create future people for you. All right. Agent attraction is figured out by the same way, by the way. So for those of you that are running teams or at EXP building your downlines, or you own a brokerage, maybe there's some broker owners in here right now watching. Agent attraction is figured out the same exact way. There's something, I coach privately a few different people, a couple of them being broker owners of companies. And one of the things that we talk about is, remember when you were an agent and how you used to work on attracting sellers and buyers? It's the very same thing. Agent attraction is figured out the same exact way. Some of you don't care for the agent attraction portion of this. That's okay. But for those of you that do, this is the same exact method. So create a separate business plan, put time into it, and work on it, right? Now, push it to the momentum and stop with the instant gratification. I have to say this because, and I'm gonna cut this so that way I can see what the chat is. But like, Marlene, is this being recorded? I have to leave for a meeting. Yes, Marlene, the whole thing's being recorded. I got you. Okay. So push into the momentum and stop with the instant gratification. Look, guys, any system that you pay into, if you decide to buy, I don't know, boobooleads.com, right? And you decide to put money into Boo Boo Leads, well, guess what? You need to give it 6 months. If you're going to go into Zillow, 6 months. Boomtown, 6 months. Chime, 6 months. Everything else, 6 months. You got to give it time. You got to give your business time to figure out what needs to be done. Okay? Very important that you do this because everyone right now is so instant gratification. And I need you, when you're talking about your business, any effort that you put into your business, I need you to push away from the instant gratification thought process and understand that you're going to be pushing this into momentum little by little. You're going to have this it's like you have a semi truck and you're going to get out every day. You're going to put the semi truck in neutral. And you're going to get behind it and you're going to try to push it. And guess what? Every day, you're going to get stronger and stronger, stronger and stronger. And maybe in 6 months, you'll be able to move it a couple inches. Maybe in a year, you're pushing it, a foot a day. That's the way your business works. Now, things to keep in mind and enhance, right? Because we want to make sure that we're keeping certain things in mind and we're enhancing them. Follow up is the number one thing to focus on in any business. I'm going to go ham on this for a minute. Follow up is the number one thing to focus on in any business. If you get a new lead and you call them and they don't pick up the phone and you don't call them again, that's it, you're done. If you get a new lead and you call them and they talk to you and you don't follow up with what you said you were going to follow up with and then consistently stay on schedule with them, again, you're going to lose them. If you don't call your sphere of influence and let them know what you do for a living, you're going to lose them. Because guess what? I don't care if they're your cousin Jody or your best friend. They don't really care about your business as much as you do. They don't. You want them to, but they don't. So it's very important that you remember that following up with them is a very key piece for the next year and for always. Your marketing plan. For those of you that are putting out great content, fantastic. For those of you that are not putting out content, you need to. You need to be putting out 2 to 5 pieces of daily content out. I don't care if that's an email, social media post, text message, whatever it is. You need to be putting 2 to 5 pieces of daily content out. I don't care if it's a listing, a promotion, buyer tips, seller tips. You figure it out. Go to Google and say, what type of real estate content can I put on social media? And you'll get like top 300 things to talk about on social media for real estate. 2, print that out, put it up on the wall and line them out one by one. Okay? Schedule yourself long ahead of time. Look, time blocking is one thing. Scheduling yourself accordingly and committing to your schedule is a whole nother thing, right? If you put things in your schedule and they have a time and they take a little piece of your Google Calendar, stick to them. And when I say schedule yourself, if you're not good at putting out content, schedule your content delivery timeframes. If you're not good at follow-up, schedule your follow-up timeframes. If you're not good at lead generation, schedule your lead generation timeframes and get on the phone and do what needs to be done in order for you to succeed at a very high level. Block time for your business building weekly. Whatever that is, you need to set up at least 1 to 2 hours a week for you to evaluate your business. If you are not consistently evaluating your business and how it's doing, you are going to run the rat wheel all year long. And then December is going to hit and you're going to be that person having that daggone conversation that says, oh my God, where did 2020 go? I don't even remember. It just flew by. Oh, by the way, my business has not changed a single bit. Once a week, take an hour or 2 and really sit down and evaluate your business. If you run a team, that's putting it together with the leadership of your team, right? Your assistant, your team manager, however big your team is, get the leaders of that team, you put it in place. If you're building a massive downline for yourself, who are your leaders and connect with them and work on business building weekly. Evaluate your business and figure out what is working and what is not working. Whatever's not working, you can start to make adjustments. If you don't do this weekly, it'll be too late. You would have spent so much money and time into it and you would have failed at it and you need to move forward. Brand development and exposure. Make sure you're spending time on developing your brand. Who are you? And why should I work with you? And do I even know who you are? Brand development and exposure is huge. Level of sales you want to focus on. A lot of people come up to me and they go, Dave, I want to get into the luxury market. I say, okay, what does luxury mean to you? They tell me a number. I say, fantastic. What have you done to date to educate yourself on that market? Right? That comes out. The level of sales that you want to focus on, you need to start learning that level at a very high pace. Then you need to surround yourself with the people at that level. And then you need to take it to the next level and start doing business in that level, right? That's going to lead us to the last thing. Saving in your financial planning. It's very important, okay? And you're going to see, in one of my future slides, we talk about saving and financial planning. But guys, have 6 to 9 months in the bank. 6 to 9 months, what you need to live and survive in the bank. Work on that beginning today. Take a piece of your commission and put it away. Know your market. The agent that truly knows their market will always, always win the seller or the buyer, especially the seller. So when you sit with a seller and you can rattle off everything that's happening in your market, it's very impressive. Okay? Know your market. Now, one of the things that I've suggested to people to do is in the MLS, for just about everywhere in the nation, you can set up auto alerts for your clients. Set one up for yourself. Set one up with yourself. Set up an auto alert for new listings coming up in your market. Set up an auto alert for new closings that happen in your market so that you could see how many closings are happening and what price point they're happening at and how much of a percentage on the price drop or price raise they went at, right? And know your market at a very high level. Next thing, to not get distracted with disruption. Stop worrying about who's doing what and what company's coming for your business. And, oh my God, Zillow's going to take over and Amazon's going to open a real estate brokerage. Like newsflash. It's the person or the company that is most adaptive that will win. The shift is a gift. And the reason the shift is a gift is because if you can be flexible and adaptive, then while the weak are freaking out, you will have massive opportunities for yourself. This is how you sit down and evaluate every time there's a major shift. You have to sit down and evaluate how to generate maximum results while planning for what to do for what's to come, right? So is Zillow coming for your neighborhood? What does that mean for you and your sellers? And how do you attack it? And what's your 5-year plan? Not your today plan. What's your 5-year plan? And are you effectively, is the plan that you're putting in place right now for 2020 contributing to your 5-year plan? Do you want to be retired in 5 years? Are you ready to, sip margaritas on a beach somewhere in 5 years? Or is your 5-year plan to triple the way your business is at this moment in size, in GCI, in volume, and everything else? It's a process, so you need to be planning for it, right? It's your responsibility to take control of your market, contacts, clients, and more. If you don't, someone else will. That's what we talk about, this disruption. It's your responsibility to make people feel so comfortable in the strength of your business and who you are that Zillow is not even an option. Now pause there for a minute. So I want you to really think about that. Now, we talked about this. Treat your business like a business. All these things that we're talking about, it's you taking your business and treating it like a business. That you are truly running a significant business. Treat it as if you went and opened up a bar, a bicycle shop, or whatever. Too many of you are treating this like a job. This is your business, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't work this business, it will not work. And if you don't treat it like a business, you won't have very many chances of growth. Cash is king. Cash is oxygen. These are things that you hear all the time. Stockpile cash for a minimum of 9 months. Now, there's multiple reasons for this. Number one, if you do everything that I'm telling you to do, and you've got a stockpile of cash and an effective business that disruption can't affect, right? And that means that you have a business that will supersede and be sustainable during the periods of disruption. But what happens in disruption? A lot of people leave the business, people freak out, and it becomes prime opportunity to invest. Who do you think won the most when the market crashed and every multi-million dollar house was now selling for $150,000? Who do you think the winners were? It was the ones that stockpiled cash and had opportunity to buy those places. It was the ones that stockpiled cash and still had opportunity to continue to market and grow. It was the ones that still had their faces on bus benches and were still running ad flow. Those were the ones that won. So this is why I'm telling you to stockpile cash, because let me tell you something. When no one else can breathe, cash is oxygen. Now, this is Tom Ferry. I'm a fan, right? He says this: the only people who should be worried about the market are those who don't have a strategy, a plan, are inconsistent with marketing, not analyzing their business intelligence, aren't focused in conversion, don't have systems in place, and lack accountability. Those folks should be very fearful. And I put this in here because you'll notice that my entire session today was about having a strategy, a plan, keeping consistency in your marketing, analyzing your business intelligence consistently, focusing on conversion, and having systems in place and being accountable for what you do. Everything we've talked about, right? Remember that sales is a contact sport, and I put this in here as a little bonus thing, right? You decided to get into a contact sport. This is like football, right? You need to contact as many people as possible to close deals. 50 conversations per deal, 50 contacts per deal. How many of those 50 conversations turn into a meeting? How many of those meetings turn into a listing or buyer? How many of those listings or buyers turn into a contract? How many of those contracts turn into closings? If you know these numbers, it's very easy to know how much you need to contact, right? In football, it's a contact sport. Everyone knows what you need to do. Chase the ball. Whoever has the ball, that's who we're going for. Who has the house that they're going to sell? Who has money to buy a house right now? This is a contact sport. Make sure that you're consistently contacting folks in your world. All right. Many of you will learn today, and the harsh reality is that few will take action. I want to know personally, like later on, come to this Facebook post, go to our private group, go to our education group, like later on, come in and let me know. Like show me pictures of your black and white composition book. Put it out there, show me your notes, text me, email me, let me know. Yo, Dave, I got this going on. I took these notes. I'm realizing this, whatever. Beat me up for advice, beat me up for content. And then last but not least, I'm military. So this is the shit that comes in my head, right? This is a great t-shirt, by the way. Die, and then you can fail and quit. Don't you dare quit on yourself. Don't you dare go buy that composition book and not write anything in it. Don't you dare commit to 2 weeks of writing in that composition book and not complete the 2 weeks. Don't you dare sit there and listen to this class and then not sit there and evaluate your business in 2019 and come up with your 2020 goals. And then don't you dare put all that effort into everything and then not take action and make the calls and contacts and conversations that you need to have. Don't you dare quit on yourself, guys.